Right, so today we're working on a 50 square roof. It's a mixture of concrete tile and flat. Right now we got the guys working on the removal of the tile. I'm actually on the way right now with the third trailer. We typically separate the concrete from the underlayment debris because the underlayment debris is toxic. And if you try to mix both materials with concrete, the price just goes up and up and up when you go to dump it. Why? Because concrete is very, very heavy. And if you mix it with toxic, the concrete becomes toxic and you're paying triple at that end. So right now I'm heading over there with the other trailer. So guys are working well. It's a very sunny day. We had a lot of rain last week, so this week we're trying to catch up on everything that we sort of got tied down because of the rain, and everything looks beautiful so far. We're working with the contractor on this property because it's fully being remodeled inside, and they're working on the pool. And we're coordinating the next inspection for this property, which will most likely be on Monday or Tuesday next week. Today our job is to make sure the sheeting is done correctly, nailing it down, install the underlayment, which is self-adhered. We're going to be working on the metal, like the drip edge, the valleys, making sure it's all tied up, and start working on the flat roof section part of the house as well. I'm going to show you guys a quick little tour of everything that we go through day in, day out, how we make these things come to life, and some of the hard work our guys put in just to make sure these homes are safe for the rainy season. Right now I'm driving on 995 heading to Boca Raton from Lake Worth, and we should be there in about 20-25 minutes. See you guys soon. Welcome. So this is the roof, guys. We're in Boca Raton. This is Boca West, one of the growing communities. Some of these houses are already going for $1.5 million. They've doubled, tripled in the last 4 or 5 years. We got the guys already working on the removal of the concrete tile. The truck already took the first load. And right now we're working on the second load. We got Mesa Construction right now, taking care of all that. Alright, let's get on top of the roof, see what's going on. But like I was telling you guys before, we separate all the debris, so when we go dump, we're not paying double or triple. We have inspection already scheduled for next week on this roof. So just so you guys know, this is the foam used for tiles instead of screws. Allows the tile to have a pretty good wind lift off, but at the same time, less penetrations on the actual material. All the goosenecks are going to be removed. The vents are going to be removed and replaced. The flat roof is going to get done. By the time we're done, it's going to be a nice pearly white roof. It's going to look really nice. The client picked out a variation of flat tile color, so it's going to look like a blend. It's going to be a fantastic new look for this entire property. The thing is, some of these houses are going for 1.5 million, so it's pretty important to make sure that the house has the right product. You don't want to cheap out on the material. You want to make sure that you get the most out of it. So they're even doing the pool right now. No, menos mal que se rompen tan siquiera.
Él fue el mismo que vino de primera. So the old material that they used to use was a hot mop system. Right now what we're going to be using self-adhered. That allows the client to have a discount with their insurance. It's SWR, secondary water resistance, which is self-adhered direct to deck. The good thing about self-adhered direct to deck is that you're pretty much adhering the material directly to the plywood. So all these things, all these seams, I mean, there's nothing that's going to go right through it. You can get a leak from a nail, but it's going to be much more sealed than what it is now. Alright, so we pretty much got all the concrete tile. There was almost 50 squares of concrete tile, a lot of concrete tile. What these guys end up doing is that they go and find some kind of big hole that you're trying to fill somewhere in some area, typically in Waxahachie or far west, and they pretty much get rid of all this crap. And then we go to a professional area to get all the underlayment properly discarded, since it's a hazard material. All that foam is toxic, so you can't dump it anywhere close to a waterway. It sips into the earth, and we want to protect this planet. I might have to move my truck because we got the delivery company right there, and my truck is in front of this other big truck, so I know how it is. Typically in situations where the client has pavers, what we try to do is put plywood all throughout the bottom. That way trucks like that don't cause an issue. But at the same time, a lot of these guys know how to drive really well, where they won't turn the front wheels too much. Usually if you look at pavers, a lot of the weight is placed down. If you were to turn a lot of weight sideways, sometimes you can separate the tiles. So they're really good about doing that. Technology, right? It's like we copied their colors, huh? Can't go wrong with red, white, and blue. Can't go wrong. Let's go ahead and check the sides of this house. Kind of give you a full glimpse of some of the things we do. We try to put tarps around the house so it's easier to collect the debris. Some houses are different. The material comes off differently, so we want to try to make sure that picking up is as easy as possible. We try to cover things like pool pumps, anything like that. Yeah, right there, we're doing the whole pool. Like tarps. So right there, we're taking off the drip edge. The new drip edge is going to be a 3-inch all around. A lot of times you see these houses with 2-inch drip edge, and the problem is that the metal is not protecting the fascia, so when it rains, a lot of the water hits the bottom part of the fascia, and then you got rotted fascia or rotted 1x2. So to avoid that, we try to put as big of a drip as possible. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty big project. I think we're going to be here today, tomorrow, get it all ready for inspection on Monday, and next week we should have the tile be delivered.
Toda fecha está abierta y el 1x2 que esté malo lo sacan, porque están pagando.
¿Tú crees que quede todo dentro de la traila? ¿Tú crees?
Yo creo que lo vamos ordenando, creo que sí.
Yo sí sé que esto sí, aquello ya sí.
No, ya no cabe esto, sí cabe.
Bueno, de todas maneras, si aquello es para mañana ya. Right now what we're doing is replacing all the rotted wood. So we had a sheet of rotted wood over there. And then over here as well. So just so you guys know, for the rest of the job, we're going to be laying the underlayment, re-nailing this plywood, and sealing this entire roof. And tomorrow, most likely, we'll be tackling the flat roof, just because it's such a big project. That way we can pace ourselves, and trust me, when it comes to the flat roof, the type of work that we have to do to it is pretty strenuous. So as you can see, plywood was cut perfectly, replaced the rotted one. And we keep going. All this plywood is good. Plywood will last 100 years. The only issue is if there's a leak, that plywood will start rotting. And if you know anything about construction, the wood back in the day used to be a lot tougher than the wood these days. So whenever you see these homes from 1980, 1970s, trust me, they have amazing, amazing structure. Yo te di un líquido que era para la pistola, ¿o no? No. Un cliente me lo regaló y parece que era
¿Qué color era?
Yo no sé, yo creo que era como un pomito chiquitico. Tengo que ver, quizá lo tengo en la casa de mi papá.
Oh,
pero un cliente que parece que trabaja para una compañía de químicos para la pistola, para engrasar, y me dio como uno o dos. Pero fuerte el químico, brother. Porque uno de los químicos es para echárselo a la gasolina para limpiar los inyectores. Brother, me cayó un poquito en el brazo y me quemó la piel.
No te creo.
Fuerte. Y cuando me estaba dando los químicos, me los daba en una bolsa. Yo decía, ¿por qué me lo está dando en una bolsa, brother?
¿Está loco?
Just so you guys know, what we're doing right now is the nailing. This is pretty much the sheeting. So whenever you do a roof removal, the pressure it takes to lift up the material typically causes a distress within the plywood and the trusses. So to re-nail everything, to make sure that everything is to the deck, to the trusses as firmly as possible, we have to re-nail everything with 2.5 inch galvanized nails. So every 4 inches, he's putting a nail inside. The other thing is too, whenever you're working on a roof, all that lifting up of the material causes some of these ends to lift up. So for example, once you lay the material, you don't want a unbalanced roof. You want to make sure that everything is as flat as possible. So little things like this, we try to make sure that it's even. That way when the final material goes on top of the roof, everything is as clean as possible. It doesn't look like a wave. And a lot of this stuff, you wouldn't see it now, you'll see it when the material is fully installed. And then we have another guy that goes behind. Dime.
¿Sabes qué? Sí, puede estar ahora. Pero es la 1 por 2.
¿La 1 por 2?
Sí, porque está ya a ver, para dejarlo dripeado una
Ya
vez.
miras un tipo, ¿qué más necesita?
La pipa de 2, porque hay 3
Ok.
Y creo, primer de pomito, no sé si
Primer de pomito.
porque a veces con el rolo chorrea mucho el...
Sí.
Sí.
Ya, ¿verdad? Y se necesita para hoy.
Sí.
Ah, se me olvidó. Ok,
Sí, espérate, yo creo que solo eso, bro.
ok.
Ah, si quieres traerte un paquetito de 1 por 2, de todas maneras la vamos a mandar ahí para cualquier
Ok.
cosa. Ajá. Porque no sé cuánto haga falta que cambiar ahí, porque como es triple 2 el...
Dale, mira entonces.
Ajá.
So this guy right behind him is pretty much making sure that every nail is as in as possible. What happens is there's a lot of pressure going through the gun, but sometimes the nails don't go all the way through. Why? Because we're dealing with 2x6 trusses or 2x8 trusses, and then we're dealing with 3/4 of an inch of plywood. So a lot of the wood pretty thick. Está fuertecita la casa, ¿eh? Está fuertecita la casa.
Sí, pero no está...
¿Duro de quitar?
sí, no, ya tiene clavo de rosca.
¿O sí?
Sí, tiene clavo de rosca, pero por lo menos no está detallosa, ¿me entiendes? Se le avanza, pues.
Sí, sí. Ahí estoy dando un estimado ahí, pero el tipo tiene doble fecha, como de 1 por, creo que es de 2 por 8 y después de
Oh,
1
sí, he visto en la casa.
y después de 1 por 6.
Sí, he visto.
A mí me preocupa porque es bastante, ¿no?
Sí, porque la está mala.
Toda está podrida, toda.
Oh, todita.
La casa tiene como 35 años que no le han cambiado el techo.
Le cambia.
Y 2 árboles grandes arriba que lo que tiraba para abajo.
Podrido toda esa área.
Okay, so today is day 2 of this concrete tile and flat roof. Right now we're working on the flat section. We already removed all the old material. Right now we're working on applying the first layer, installing the valley, which is technically the flashing between the concrete section and the flat section. Any roof that has a separated transition from slope to flat requires a flashing base, because it's the most critical area. This is typically where a lot of the water ends up from the higher sections. So what we end up doing is installing the valley roll, and we go ahead and prime it so the material that goes over it adheres properly. And then on top of that, that's when we do the top cap layer, which is going to be torched down. It's one of the best application methods you can use. Right now the guys are installing the drip edge. That all needs to go down before we do the final layer. Cuando es antorchado, todavía hay que premiarlo,
Básicamente no, brother, pero por si acaso. Ajá.
Yo creo que pega mejor.
Sí, pega mejor. O sea, no es que lo requieran, pero siempre cuando hay primes y yo le meto para que agarre mejor.
No, y ya ahí cuando le estás poniendo ya el pelestick por arriba, así da.
Sí.
Ay, pero de cualquier día, de cualquier momento cambió las de eso de la semana, porque decía que esta semana iba a ser, que no iba a haber lluvia.
Brother, no, a
ahora...
mí me asustó, brother, porque cayó, sí, se puso un negro todo esto. Y entonces, ¿dónde vamos? Porque lo metimos ahí de todo para...
No, aquí cuando vienen las nubes aquellas, uno nunca sabe, ¿ves?
Ajá.
A veces la aplicación te dice que no va a caer nada y lo que cae es un monstruo de agua. Es que dura es el plywood viejo, man.
Sí.
Completamente diferente.
Ajá.
So right now they're applying the primer. The primer is an adhesive that allows the material to adhere more properly. Right now, a lot of these roofs, we're doing it with secondary water resistance, which is a self-adherent material. It's what gives the client the right warranties and protection when it comes to the insurance. So today I picked up more wood. We have a few rotted fascias, and then I also picked up an extra 2-inch lead boot, picked up the granules. You guys will see what the granules do as we continue the flat section. But so far, very good. The biggest thing that we noticed was the flat section had a lot of wood. A lot of these overlaps, the guys are gonna seal later on. Yeah, our guys were pretty scared because out of nowhere, and it's only 10 a.m. weather changed, and imagine, you know, you're working on a roof. It's your duty to protect the asset of the client, and whenever the weather changes, you know, we just have to pivot, try to make sure we can get what we need to get done as a priority, and then we can seal the roof either with a tarp, depending on where we at. But los jarritos esos tienen mejor precio que la soda ya, man.
No te creo.
Sí, bro. El Home Depot lo venden a $13.
A $13 vale la cajita esa.
La cajita, vale la pena. Es que ya todo vale ya 12, 13, 14, man. Fuck. Sí, no, yo me imagino. Yo cuando yo iba a uno que se llama Boca Burger, ese que es colombiano. Y ellos siempre tienen los jarritos, pero yo nunca lo he tomado, pero yo sé que eso es riquísimo.
Sí.
La soda que me gusta a mí es la colombiana.
La amarillita.
Sí,
Es buena,
esa es rica, man, esa es rica, sabrosa.
Vamos a tirar ya de acá, vamos a tirar un rollo.
I'm going to be taking the big trailer right now. It's full of debris. What we're doing is just passing it over to the smaller one so nothing flies off. Lo otro que puedes hacer, eso ahí, si me lo puedes tirar por las esquinitas también. Porque el problema es que como voy por la turnpike, ahí es donde siempre están las patrullas. Y para que nada vuela. Como tú quieras, ahí cabe o si no, como tú quieras. It is very, very windy. That is one of the biggest problems when doing a roof. It's not so much the rain, but the wind. Because when something comes, we're always ready with a tarp. And if there's wind, the whole thing becomes a mess. One thing is to dry down a roof with a tarp. Another thing is to do it when it's windy. The thing gets freaking flopped all over the place, but we're making it work, guys. We're making it work. This is all the work that goes into creating a roof in South Florida. The building codes are very, very, very high when it comes to the type of uplift you need to have in order to pass inspections in high velocity zones. Even when it comes to the flat roof material, it needs to be anchored, it needs to be adhered properly. You guys are going to see what we're going to be doing with this. We're going to be doing it's going to be torched down material. Yep, that's what we have to deal with. Mother Nature. But God always protects us one way or another. So this is a client that's remodeling the entire house. They're going to be most likely putting this home for sale. So they're trying to make sure that whoever the buyer is happy with this roof. So right now we're going to be applying GTA Certainty. This is a material that needs to be torched 400 degrees. But out of all the materials out there, it's by far the safest. I'm not a big fan of having my guys work with hot mop because I think it's very toxic for the face, for the body, for the lungs, everything. And this gets to about the same type of wind lift off. It's a little bit slower process because you do have to go really slow to make sure the entire material is torched correctly. You have to go side by side. However, the quality finish, the sealing properties of this material is by far one of the best ones out there. As you guys can see right here, we're still taking off the underlayment from the old tile. This is how it was installed before with foam. One of the reasons I'm showing you guys this kind of stuff is because I do believe that in the next few years, this type of work is going to be one of the ones that pays the most for a lot of people out there. We're getting to a point in life where everyone wants to work behind a big computer. No one wants to do this kind of stuff. And believe it or not, roofing is by far one of the most popular constructions when it comes to South Florida because of how tough the weather is. With all the rain, with all the sun that we get, with the probabilities of storms and hurricanes. I mean, thank God we haven't got hit by a hurricane in 10 years, but when it comes, it's going to devastate. And contractors, roofers are the first ones on call. First is FPL. Second is your insurance company, and third is your roofer. So don't forget. Brother, cuando le pase la antorcha al rollo, también después pásensela al piso. Para que cuando los dos estén calienticos.
Sí, está bien.
Alright, now we're going to go ahead and install the second layer. So as you can see, this is a pretty time consuming process. It's not just throw it down, but it ends up with a much better solution.
¿El otro qué? Sí. ¿Lo comemos? No, eso vamos a tirar ahí.
Brother, hoy fui a ABC, yo creo que vi como 5 compañías nuevas.
Pero es que es demasiado lo que se
Yo,
ve.
yo creo que lo que están viniendo de otros estados, ¿no?
Son de otros estados que creo que están
que son ya la gente que se han mudado y como traen la compañía o buscan gente nueva o
Pero
lo
es
que sea.
demasiado, bro, de lo que se ve en compañías nuevas.
No, pero
Hace 5 años atrás no había tanta compañía. Sí, hay que-
pero para mí eso no es así como así, vivo, porque mira, en California se trabaja completamente diferente. El material, porque allá no tienen
los códigos que tienen.
los códigos de aire que
Sí,
tienen aquí.
Sí, que pase, sí, que pase, ¿no?
Fíjate que allá ponen un papel simple, ponen stick, pero ya con las mismas chapeticas de Port St. Lucie.
Sí, sí, sí,
No,
simple.
no es como aquí.
Y muchas se van a la quiebra porque pues, en la compañía que yo trabajaba ya había también la Smart Group. Eso se fue porque no...
Aquí no hay control, llega el momento que no hay control.
¿Lo van a sacar? Sí, lo vamos a sacar medio por cara.
Yo sé que Jorge, yo creo que está ahí todavía o con una
No,
similar.
entonces esa compañía se fue total.
Sí, completo.
Completo, Jorge anda en se llama... Brothers.
Brothers.
Sí, Brothers.
Yo creo que he escuchado de eso.
Sí, hace años,
¿Ah, sí?
un año ya.
So we're currently at the last property we were working on. This is the roof. We're converting into a concrete roof. All right. So this is the finished product right now with the flashing. Flat roof was completed. All the vents were installed. What we do there is add granules. That way it can be sealed before the top layer comes off with the concrete tiles. And that flat roof is completed. You can see the difference between the old material and the new material. Guys did an excellent job at sealing this. You can see on these areas, all these wiggly areas, that's where the modified comes off. That's what allows us to really seal everything properly. So right now this roof is ready for inspection. It's ready for tile delivery.